Welcome to episode 24. We had a lot going on the last couple of weeks. I know some of the episodes we had skipped 1 week, I believe, but we're back in it, and we're going to continue with this program for a while. And I'm even going to take it with me when I leave. We're gonna keep this show and keep it going. It's going to get even better because now I won't be here on company time, so I'll be able to say a lot more things. So this thing is going to really get ramped up, and we're going to get into government. We're going to get into a lot of the problems that we're facing and law enforcement in general. I'll be able to talk more, a little wider now on some of the issues. But today we have, for episode 24 of Law and Order BUX, BUX, we have an amazing episode coming up. And we have deputies Justin and Sal, and I use their first names because that's how they're known on the street. And they're doing some amazing work, which I think is extremely important. That I really wanted to talk about, but in specifically, this is homeless month, advocacy for folks that are in trouble, and homelessness is it's not something to just hide and not talk about. Um, it's people that have gotten themselves into a situation. These aren't bad people. These are just people that have gotten themselves into a situation. And I don't know if it's true anymore, but I remember years ago, as I've been in this business a long time, it used to be said that we're all a paycheck away from being homeless. Um, of course, we know in the sheriff's office it takes you a while to get evicted from your property because that's a big part of our job. But you still don't want to get that process going. Once you get into that, it's just hard to get out. Um, but you guys, and we've had Todd on, your supervisor. You guys work. Obviously, you're not dressed like traditional deputies. I know. Well, let's just leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. And they're laughing for another reason. But they're not dressed like typical deputies because they're not typical deputies, and their unit's not typical. And we're going to talk about really why is your unit in the sheriff's office? Have I gone way outside the box or the scope, hence the name scope of the sheriff's office? And I say scope because that is the name of their unit, the Sheriff's Community Outreach Public Engagement. You guys run our PAL. You guys run a whole host of issues. You work with our VRT, our Veterans Response, CIT, crisis interventions. My understanding, the county had another graduation yesterday of more CIT officers. I know Matt Weintraub, when he was district attorney, his goal was to have every officer in the county CIT trained. I know Jen Shorn, our amazing district attorney, she has taken that and continued. I know the police chiefs are 100%. I'm vice president of the police chiefs. Joe Bart from Middletown, our current president, is very instrumental in making sure that continues. But here in the sheriff's office, we really have gone outside. And I got to be honest, I got to give credit to Milt Worrell. Milt started this in October of 21. Is that right? So, Milt had already lost the primary. There was no chance of him being sheriff, but Milt also was just continuing the good work that he had started. And I really think you guys, and I'm going to shut up in a minute so you guys can talk. I know you're jonesing to talk because that's what you guys do very well. But Milt, had this vision, and he told me about it. I said, "Yeah, do it. You're the sheriff. For a couple more months, and if it's good, I'll keep it going." And let's just hope that somebody's listening today, and a new sheriff keeps this unit going. There's some powers to be on the other side of the street at in the admin section of the county that has tried to broken you guys up. I've been basically threatened. I was told from day one, break this unit up. I think you were called co-responders. And what I learned in my 35 years in Benzino, like with apartment complexes, when you had somebody didn't like one or you had trouble with apartment complex, all they did was change the name. So that's what we did here. We took some of the direction off, bought us a little bit of time. We changed your name from co-responders to the scope unit. And I believe it's so important. Okay, let me shut up. Why are you guys, I talked about homelessness and the issue. Get into it. Please tell the public. I'm going to tell why. I'm going to come back if you guys don't hit it, which I'm sure you will, why it's so important for the sheriff's office and one of my goals is to keep municipal police on the street handling 911 calls. Tell the public, Sal, Justin, whoever wants to go first, and I'm going to be quiet now. What do you guys do, especially in relationship to homelessness?
So Justin and I both have a wealth of law enforcement experience. I come from the previous police department and 2 years in corrections prior to that. So coming into this department, the vocation and the career kind of merged when you allowed us to continue to do this outreach per se. So not only is it homeless, but it's mental health, people with addiction issues, and homelessness, and they usually are all combined. There's very rarely do you find a homeless person that doesn't struggle with addiction or have some sort of mental health that has kind of caused their circumstances. So the nice thing about being a sheriff and doing that is that we're not bound by jurisdictional issues. So we can go throughout the entire county. Local PDs can call us and let us know, hey, we have a homeless encampment here. There's a person here that we can't spend um, overwhelming amount of time trying to assist them. And sometimes there's low-level warrants, there's theft, they're stealing from our Wawas, and we're paying taxpayers to have, public defenders, district attorneys, things like that, that we could potentially handle administratively. But then the reality that we've come to as a passion is that showing people dignity and grace in the midst of their struggles to try to stop their recidivism. Because, I mean, in my opinion, you can't jail addiction out of somebody sometimes. Not all the time, sometimes people change. Most of the time, when you have somebody that's drug addicted, you put them in jail, they get out, and that's kind of one of the issues with people looking at the system and saying, what are we doing? These people are just in the system, then they're out, they're stealing again, then they're in the system, they're out, they're stealing again. So we come in and to oversimplify it, we build a rapport. We don't have the red tape of safety issues. We can go right into their camps, introduce ourselves, present like this. So there's a lot more of a nice soft introduction. But then we also have the authority. We can look into their background and then try to, as you allow us to do, have some discretion with our job and maybe bring them to the courthouse for them to address their warrant on their own rather than sending constables and sending warrant units where, again, it costs taxpayers money for those circumstances that don't need a warrant unit, which there are a slew of them. So that's a kind of a broad brush.
And I want to just break in here for a second. And why for our listeners, this is great. And and me, I'm very I think I'm very middle of the road. Although I get painted as MAGA and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know how they come up with that nonsense, but whatever. I could care less. I've been called all kinds of other things. But I believe in doing this because one of my goals coming in as sheriff, because I came from municipal like you guys, and I was a chief for the last 16 years in Ben Salem, is, in Pennsylvania, sheriffs don't handle 911 calls, right? It's a little different. I want to keep, and you got towns like Bristol Borough and Tullytown and Morrisville, busy towns, especially the borough, and Morrisville and Pendle, and even other towns like Newtown Borough as well, and other townships that don't have a lot of cops on the street. And when they come across a call, somebody may have called on somebody that may be homeless for whatever reason, they call, police get there, the patrol officer runs that person, they come back wanted out of BUX County. They have to take him into custody. And many times, if somebody can't transport, those police departments might have to transport, and they might only have 2 cops on the street. Now those 2 cops are gone. Or if there's 2 cops on the street and they have to kind of sit with the prisoner until the sheriffs get there, then that's only 1 cop on the street. And if there's a domestic or a fight or a disturbance or a crime in progress, that's 1 cop going by him or herself. And that is extremely dangerous. So we, and well, not really me, but you take that pressure off of municipalities and local police all over this great county of ours. So now you're dealing with warrants during daytime. You get our judges to deal with these warrants. We should have a great relationship with our judges. Our judges here in BUX, I've said it 100 times. I said it yesterday on Warrant Wednesday. Phenomenal. They get it. They get the balance of punishment, and they get the balance of people that need help. And that's very, very important in a jurist to be able to do that, as it is in law enforcement officers as yourselves. But we get those warrants cleared up during daytime hours when they can be cleared up, because it's hard to get a warrant cleared up at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday or a Saturday night even, or on a Friday night. That person's going to go to jail, take cops off the street, cost the county a ton of money by sending them in jail, and it's not really where they should be. They may have got mixed up. They may have stolen just to feed themselves. They may have got, locked up for a small amount of drugs. And I'm not, for the record, folks, I'm not advocating these things are not bad.
Doesn't make it
They're
right.
crimes. I get it. I've said it 100 times. We just enforce the law. We don't interpret it and we don't make it.
Yes.
We just enforce it. And our role is very, very clear. But you guys go into the trenches, so to speak, literally, and get this deal and get this dealt with. And a lot of people in the upper end of the county don't realize, in the middle parts of the county, don't realize that we have a homeless problem in Bucks County. And I know, as you well know, that at the Levittown facility, at 5 Points rather, you need a 6 months notice to get in there. Well, if you know you're going to be homeless in 6 months, you can normally get it worked out. So that is just utterly ridiculous. And I've advocated when I was in Bed-Salem for another homeless center, and it's gone on deaf ears for the commissioners. I mean, just nothing has happened. And it's not just these commissioners; it's been gone on deaf ears for as long as I can remember. But we need to do something, and you guys are doing. You're doing God's work. I mean, and you're the
I'm our chaplain.
Chaplain.
Yeah.
So
I
always forget. Both of you kind of look a cross between Moses and Jesus Christ. So I don't know. And I guess the folks can see you with your beards and everything. Not a big beard guy, but they found these guys are good at finding ways around the system. So they all got beards now. But you guys are really doing the Lord's work. And I mean that. And I'm not, you know me, I'm not a religious guy. But you truly are doing the Lord's work. And go ahead. Because you know me, I just keep talking. So.
Well, one of the things you said was for me and Sal, when we first presented this program, we were floored that we got pushback, because the whole point of the program was to work with the entire county as a whole, the commissioners, the sheriff's office, the DA's office, the judges, the probation office, everybody, all police departments. So the goal was that if they had a call, whether it be a mental health call, whether it be addiction, whatever the problem is, and they need their officers back on the streets, that they would be able to reach out to the sheriff, contact us, and then we would come out and we could relieve them, obviously, once they're done with their end of it, the actual call that they were there for. And we would follow up with the individual, get them connected to county resources. And then one of the big things me and Sal do is we follow up long term. This isn't a short term. We don't have a 3 to 6 month case file where we close it on you. We remain in contact with the same people, whether it be mental health, addiction, or homelessness, all year long, every year, nonstop.
And for the purpose of them getting out of the system altogether. So the purpose isn't, because you can get local cops to do that, but the difference is that we're looking at a different approach, so that when they do almost relapse, when they are about to steal, we get phone calls day and night from these guys. I'm about to relapse. Can we get some breakfast tomorrow? On our dime, we end up doing that because obviously it's not a burden of the system to pay for things like that. So we understand that's our role, but again, the difference, vocation and career. This is, we're passionate about what we do, but we also see the results of guys that are no longer victimizing businesses. I mean, honestly, people's propane tanks in their backyard. When you think homeless guys, they get heated. They need to stay warm, so they steal grilled propane tanks out of people's grills.
It's got to be dangerous.
It is.
It is.
I wouldn't be happy if my
some of the guys
propane tank got stolen.
We have individuals that were charged with arson because they use these propane tanks to start fires, and people wouldn't know this, but usually they start their fires inside their tents, and they build these little chimney systems, like to filter out the smoke. But yeah, there's fires all the time.
The one thing about this job is always, and I just got back from a quick getaway with my wife, and ran into a coffee barista, I guess. We were sitting outside having coffee, and a girl had brought us her coffee, and there was a little boy with her. And I had a sheriff's patch. I gave the kid a sheriff's patch. And the young woman, who I thought she was much younger, but she wound up being like 23, 24 with this little boy. I thought it was her son. And she said, "Oh, this comes at a great time, the sheriff's patch." I said, and I was down south, so the sheriff's handle 911 calls. She goes, "My mom got locked up by the sheriff's last night." I'm listening to the story, and we're sitting there having coffee, and she got locked up on warrants. She said, "My mom, had committed a lot of crime. This is her youngest. There was like an 18, 20-year difference in age. So not the same father. She's got like 5 brothers and sisters, all by different different dads. The mom has different dads.
Mhm.
But this girl, I mean, she looked like she's working 3 jobs, and she says, now I have to take care of. I had to pick up my brother to take care of him. I got to quit 2 of my jobs because I'm a waitress. And I'm thinking to myself, I just,
Yeah.
and then you wonder too, being a cop. I'm thinking, is she pulling my leg? And so to make the long story short, here's this girl struggling. There's not much I could do for her besides give her a decent tip.
Mhm.
Yeah, in half the country away, and I'm thinking, man, just when I thought I had problems, you don't.
Mhm.
It's a humbling experience.
It really is when that's one of the things I think I've learned on this job is when you meet. I'm sure you guys see it firsthand better than I now. I mean, it's been a long time, since I've been on the street and dealt,
And you never
interacting
have
with
anything
people.
to complain about.
What's that?
You can never complain about anything after
You
seeing
you really
the
can't.
circumstances of the people we've seen.
I mean, for me, I just lost my job, right? I mean, I got a new sheriff got elected, but not gonna really affect me too much, I mean, besides my own ego, which everything happens for. I truly believe one door closes, another opens. I mean, I'll be back bigger and better. Hopefully, the bigger is not in weight. So I got to get into the job right away. But if I sit around, it's going to be problematic for me. Maybe I could drive the new sheriff. Maybe he'll hire me as his driver or something like that. But I do hope the new sheriff keeps. I know he has said on the campaign trail that he's going to bring the sheriff's office back to the basics. In fairness to him, he doesn't know what that is. And the basics is helping people.
Yeah.
That's bringing this back. We all have different missions and all different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, we deal with human beings in their worst possible time. These prisoners they're not animals, they're prisoners, and they're human beings.
Yeah.
And that's why our deputies in what we call in the bubble, which is our command center, where the movement of all the prisoners, I watch those guys and the respect and the dignity they treat these men and women that come through, because you're at your worst time in life, and you got to be treated with respect and dignity. And that's one thing I learned here. You watch television and these guys here and the gals here in the sheriff's office, the job that they do, and you guys going out there, going into the trenches and doing this. And I'm sitting here thinking you're kind of co-responders with badges, because you have the full picture. And I know because I created the co-responders in Ben Salem.
And we work very well with all of them.
The co-responders are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Rachel Neff does a great job. Yvonne, who's a supervisor now, they do a phenomenal job, those co-responders. And, that was the goal. But you guys, one of the things when we design co-responders is they can't go into what's the word? Stable conditions.
Dangerous.
It has to be a stable scene for them to go into. As you guys can go in. I would not send a co-respondent into a homeless encampment, not knowing what they're going to face.
And that's one of the ways we work with them.
Yes,
they can contact us if they feel unsafe. Because I know it was
and they do.
Yeah, and I know it was set up for them to call a police officer from the township.
Right.
But again, then you're taking an officer off the street.
Right.
Where we're already out there, and that's what our job.
And you guys have countywide jurisdiction.
Yes.
That the only other people that have countywide jurisdiction are county detectives, but they're not in uniform. They're doing investigative. Yeah. And I imagine the park rangers, but it's a little different. And those guys and gals are pretty busy themselves. Yes. The park police, rather, not rangers. Excuse me.
They contact us also.
And they do a phenomenal. Our park police do a phenomenal job here, as everybody. I mean, we have a good relationship with Department of Corrections. Sometimes there's some issues, but everybody's because they've got their own mission, and I get it. But generally, everybody works very well together in the law enforcement community and social service. You work with what's the supervisor's name of the hub? Morseglia. Katie. Yes. Katie Morseglia. Yeah, the commissioner's daughter. Katie's fantastic. Katie does an amazing job. I mean, you got a person, and listen, there's no secret that the commissioners and I battle, but I've said it 100 times. I'll say it 100 more. Until Commissioner Marseglia, I know this is her heart. So in helping people. So hopefully she's got some influence over the new guy, and we get this unit to stay and expand.
I agree with you. And the thing is his campaign was no politics. So if you take the politics out of it, there's no reason
Right.
for us to not continue
Agreed.
doing what we're doing, because the community from day one has called for this. They've asked for this. They got it. They love it.
And you're serving warrants, which is a big part of the sheriff's mission.
Yeah. And we work with the warrant
Yeah.
teams to address all
Right.
the warrant. We by no means do we go out and just condone bad behavior or
No.
tell people you got a warrant, don't deal
Listen,
with it.
you're
We make
law
them deal with it.
enforcement. You have to
Yes.
Absolutely.
abide by the law.
Absolutely.
And as I said before, and I've said it a billion times when different guests on the podcast, we don't interpret the law. We don't make the law.
Yeah.
We just enforce the law. And that people need to understand that we're not policy setters here as far as that goes. But listen, I think your unit, and you have really expanded, which, I don't know how all the troops feel about my idea of expanding different things, our footprint, because I've always said our priority is warrants and the safety of the CJC, of the Criminal Justice Center. But you can do both.
Absolutely.
You
You've
can
done
do
it.
both.
You've done it. For 4
Well, I
years.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping it continues. I listen. I think this guy is. I don't think he's a dummy. I think he's got. I think he's a smart guy, and I hope he sees the value in this and continues it. I would love to
We do
look
too.
back in a year from now and see this department expanding. I know we're going to do a podcast, kind of the 4 years in summation, as time goes on, and you guys are such a huge part of that. So homelessness, we're talking about that.
Yeah.
Tell us a day. Walk me through quickly. You can't do an 8-hour, 16-hour day, but tell me, like, what does it look like for you?
So I guess we get up in the morning, I pick up Justin, and then we.
After the showers.
Okay, after the shower.
Yeah, you got to be
So-
specific
Oh.
with sounds.
I'll start.
You
when I was
showered
born,
before you
all
get
right?
Justin,
So I was
right?
born in 1970. That's the joke, right? I'll tell. The story's going to get this long, all right? So, in essence, we have a list of hundreds of people that we work with, and when Justin says we keep ongoing communication, it doesn't mean we're spending hours upon hours with one person. It logistically doesn't work like that. But we'll make 30, 40 phone calls in the morning to the people that we know might be at risk, homeless, addicted, mental health, that make sure, hey, are you staying up? Maybe 5-10 minute phone calls with them, just to let them know also, hey, we're interested and we want to see how you're doing, see how things are going. Once we get through those phone calls, people will say, hey, can we catch up today? I'm about to relapse, or whatever circumstances going on in their life, usually involving some sort of possible criminality. So it obviously involves us in that venue. Once those are done, those contacts are done, we will drive around the borough or the township, usually, like we're in the lower end most of the time, and we'll find tents. We found a tent. We'll find out. We found a guy. Anecdotally, we found a guy under a bridge in a homeless tent. He just became homeless a week before we ran into him. We just went up to the tent, announced who we were. Hey, this is Sal and Justin. It's very common. Then they unzip the tent. They go, oh my goodness, they see the badge, but they're kind of confused because they see us in street clothes. So they don't want to undercover because they see the marked vehicle. So they know, what are you guys doing? They say, listen, just want to hear your story. You want to get some Dunkin' Donuts? What are you doing here? I see that you're on the street. One guy in particular, he was ashamed. He lost his job. He was kind of on the fritz with his wife, and he was ashamed to tell his kids that he's homeless. So the result was him getting a tent from another guy who's been living on the street, and he decides to kind of pitch tent under the bridge. Long story short, it took us 2 weeks to convince him and to encourage him to reunite with his son. He talks to his kids. He reunites with his kids. His kids let him back in the house. They couldn't believe his dad was homeless. Things like that have happened all the time.
Wow.
That was a good story. So there really wasn't drug issue, not a mental health issue, just utter pride and shame, just pounding this guy. And his kids were of age, in their mid-20s, and they just couldn't believe it. They were in tears, like, wait, my dad was on the street for a week. We didn't know where he went. He was just ashamed to tell him he lost his job. That is, one instance where we just approach a tent. There were 2 guys, so it wasn't a camp, but there were 2 guys under a bridge in Falls Township that we just happened to drive by. So we make these cold calls, so to say. We've met people behind Home Depot near Oxford Valley Mall. We've gotten them off the street multiple times, or multiple people back there. And again, working, like you said, you want us to contact the local PDs to just let them know too, hey, we're in your jurisdiction. We're not stepping on any toes, but there's a guy living back here. We're just going to touch base, things like that. So we're covering our bases to make sure nobody's getting upset that we're there.
And that's usually just our morning. That's on top of our scheduled calls. So throughout the weeks, we schedule, like if we have a homeless guy that needs to go to Social Security and get his IDs situated, or get his any kind of credentials that he needs, because for them to get housing, you need these documentation.
And there's nobody
They
else in
don't
the
have
county
it.
that does this.
And it's a logistical nightmare where it takes us, what, 15 minutes? Hop in the car. We're going to drive you to the Social Security office, and we're going to leave you there. We're not, pandering and signing the paper. No, drop you off. We'll be back. We have other things we have to take care of.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back, pick him up, drop him off. Listen, that would have taken him a month to get a ride, find somebody to maybe pay for an Uber, to, calculate or
Usually
communicate
doesn't
with
happen.
people to
That's
try to
why they
let that
don't
happen.
Yep.
Certain things are logistical nightmares where we can really answer those calls. And not only that, like I said, usually there's some low-level criminality that's there, whether they're going to steal, they're hungry, they don't have food, this or that. We eliminate the probability of that happening because of a simple phone call or a drive somewhere. Hey, I need to get a job. I don't have a job. I can't get food because I can't get to the DMV in Ben Salem to get my driver's license. Okay, hop in. We'll drop you off, and then we got to go.
Yeah.
It's overly simplified.
And those little things give them hope, because a lot of, especially the homeless community, they lose hope. They go, I can't get this accomplished. It's never going to happen. And they just give up. So knowing that they can reach out to us to help them. And again, we do have resources in the county that do these things, that
Right.
help out.
Not as on the spot.
On the spot. They can't always provide rides because there's always red tape.
There's a safety issue.
We can get around a lot of that stuff and help these individuals out. And we do it every day.
That's good.
Every day.
Yeah, I mean, I think we could do like 6 shows on you guys, but
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
I know we're getting close, right, to the end. It's just the work. We try to keep these to 30 to 40 minutes, but I think it was very important. Like I said, we had Todd on, your supervisor, a couple months back, but I think it's very important, and I want to really address it because it's homeless, education month and all that, and the work that you do is phenomenal. The work that you do is so important, and you're getting warrants cleared up, and you're getting people out of the system, because it costs a lot of money to have somebody in jail, and these people don't belong in jail. That story you just told about that guy, I mean, it wasn't drugs, it wasn't mental health, it was just bad luck.
And not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, not yet.
Right.
What is the potential of somebody living on the street that eventually
Yes.
that's just
Well, that's an excellent point, because it's definitely going to become mental health
being
problems,
proactive.
and it could be drug and alcohol problems. So the time we spend now with 2 of you could save 10 county and social service employees on the back end, and thousands of dollars in treatment and services and stuff like that. And we, one of the things I really, try to do is be proactive. And I'm going to use this very dirty word called progressive. And it's not what Washington did to the word progressive. It's not crazy progressive. It's smart progressive. And that's what I say, this is a smart progressive to be able to get ahead of the problem. That's why you want to change your oil on time. That's why you want to rotate your tires. That's why you want to make sure you have a good roof over your house, so you avoid problems. And that's what we're doing here. We're trying to get ahead of things, and even people that are already down on their luck, trying to stop it when it can be stopped before it gets too bad, and get them housing, because there are services in the county. And I just when I first got here, I wasn't real sure, but I knew this was and I was taking a lot of problems from the other side of the street, which I could not for the life of me understand why. But 4 years later, you have survived. We're 4 years and a month, right? 4 years and a month into this project, and I'm hoping it continues for another 4 years.
I like to think that we proved it to you. Like reasonably, you were speculating, or you were there's some speculation about this.
And it's not against any other employees, but like when I was in Ben Salem, there were, and even here, there are employees that are assigned to other details, let's say. And the people you don't have to worry about that aren't going to be goof offs and hide and give you crappy work and are going to find ways to get out of a job. You guys are, I mean, truly, you guys give me, 120%. I mean, it's just, you just are. Whenever I call you, whenever I need you, you're there. You never, even when, your mission is very important, but our priority is still the courthouse. And there's days you got to come in off the street, put on that uniform, even with those beards of yours, and work inside. And you might have an appointment that day that you can't make, but we can't jeopardize the safety of the courthouse. And that's what people didn't understand across the street, that we were never not doing our job.
Yes.
But, here, when we came up with new jobs to do, the people that were here picked them up. Sometimes on the other side, they just hire more people. Well, that's not necessarily the answer, because, you got to find people that want to do the work, and you two are doing the work. And I hope I'll be following you guys, in, just hearing what's going on. I'm hoping I'll be in your corner if something gets in the way of your work, because I'm not leaving Bucks County. I'm going to stay very active in Bucks County. In the words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back. I'm not saying the sheriff's office, but I'm home is Bucks County. I'm not moving anywhere. So the people of Bucks County are going to be, Fred Herron's going to be around for a long while. Even some of the goofs that make stupid comments on our social media, like, oh, can't wait till you stop doing Warrant Wednesday. Like, oh, really? You want us to stop picking up people on warrants, you knucklehead? A lot of noodles out there, but we're going to keep going. And I got like almost 6 weeks left, 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks, something like that. And I'm going to be working till the last minute of the last day. Because it's not a hobby, it's a job, and it's a passion. Same is for you guys. And I appreciate you coming on today.
Thanks for having us.
Final thoughts?
Well, real quick, I want to touch on something that you said, and this would be a whole nother show. No, I'll stay away from that. But that you touched on.
Maybe I shouldn't have said final thoughts.
No, you briefly touched on. Me and Sal look at like our unit as we want to think ahead, and one of the big parts of our program is working with troubled youth. I know, again, you got a lot of pushback for us doing that.
Yeah.
But that is one of our goals moving forward, is to get more involved with the troubled youth, because that's going to save this county a ton of money for a ton of years to come.
I do like the idea. I mean, and unfortunately, I have to look at the whole picture, and I couldn't cut you loose every which way, because there's just not enough hours in a day.
Yes.
Really, it should be a 4-person unit. It really should be.
But we appreciate all of it.
Well, I don't need to. I appreciate that you appreciate it, but I would love to see 2 more people added, and I think there's a lot of people that are just narrow-minded and short-sighted. But
we'll see.
One day,
We love what we do.
One day we'll get there. Because I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
And when I say I'm not going anywhere, that doesn't mean I'm locking myself in the office. So, people already said, "Are you going to leave on January 5th?" I'm like, yeah, I'm going to be moving on to the next career. So yeah, but I'm staying in Bucks County, people. I'm going to keep an eye on things. So we're gonna make sure that you guys survive and grow. We're gonna only grow. We're gonna keep you guys moving, because you're doing the Lord's work, and you're doing great work out there. So, folks, as we conclude episode 24, we're coming up to 25. I don't know what we're doing next week, but it'll be before Thanksgiving. One of my favorite holidays, only because I love turkey legs. And for now, this is your sheriff. For now, Fred Herron signing off on Law and Order BUX, and I'm here with Justin and Sal from our Scope unit.